Yes, who Jah bless, no one can curse. Give thanks and praises to the Most High, Jah, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit. Yes, we give thanks. And bless this video and bless all the viewers out there. Yes, welcome to Walking the Narrow Road with Brother James. This is my 7th video. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to go over some of the books I just recently bought, and I'm calling it my new Truebrary, which is a Rasta word for library. But since we don't, the knowledge learned is you don't deal with lies, we deal with truth. So you go to the books for truth. So we call it a Truebrary. So I'm going to share my new Truebrary, some of the books, and I'll be overviewing those, and also I'll overview my channel playlists that I'd like people to check out. And also I just want to remind ones and ones, please subscribe, like, and share my videos. It does help the algorithms, and you can help me promote my channel. And I do appreciate my new subscribers. I have 13. I'm trying to reach 100, but we'll see how that goes. But right now, I appreciate all of you who've subscribed and all of you who like and have shared. So that's much appreciated. Thanks. And I hope it continues. And feel free to leave comments, questions, in the comments. If you have a question or a topic you'd like to suggest me to cover, or just a personal question or whatever, you could leave it in the comments and I'll address it for future purposes. Okay, so let me get started with the books first. Now, these are all books I've recently gotten. Most of them deal with eschatology, like end times. But the authors are very prominent. These are like historical books. So I'll start with the first one here. The first author who I'm going to go over his books is, his name is H. Grattan Guinness. Now, H. Grattan Guinness, here's how his name looks. So, H. Grattan Guinness, he's a very prominent author in the 1800s on Christian topics such as eschatology, world history, and things like that. Now, this book here is called The Divine Program of the World's History. This is kind of how the book looks. And written by him and his wife, actually. And this book was written in 1892. Not this one itself, this is a reprint, but the original. So what I'm reading here is from 1892. So it's by Dr. and Mrs. H. Grattan Guinness. Once again, I'll just show that. Alright, now this is a good book. It's pretty thick. And it covers pretty much like world history, but puts it in biblical perspective. Like you have the Adamic program, the Noahic program, the Abrahamic program, the Mosaic program, the Davidic program, the Daniel program, and the Christian program. So it covers world history in different sets of programs. Now, another great book by H. Grattan Guinness, or Henry Grattan Guinness, is this one right here. And I also would encourage all ones to buy these books for yourself, add it to your library if you like to research and read. These are all good historical research books on eschatology from the Reformers' historicist perspective. Now this right here is Romanism and the Reformation. Now, this is by Forgotten Books. Go online and check for it. Now, this book was written in 1887. And its contents pretty much, they're in lectures that he gave. One is the Daniel Foreview of Romanism, the Daniel Foreview of Romanism Part 2, Paul's Foreview of Romanism, John's Foreview of Romanism, interpretation and use of these prophecies in pre-Reformation times, interpretation and use of these prophecies in Reformation times, interpretation and use of these prophecies in post-Reformation times. And then it has a double foreview of the Reformation and concluding remarks. Now, this is a really good book. It comes from the standpoint of prophecy, as it says right there. I'll show it again. Like I said, written in 1887, another classic book. So I would check all ones to check Henry Grattan Guinness and his writings. Now, another one I have a few from him. This is another one. Now, this is really important. This might be one of the first books I'll read because it's pretty short as when I do my book readings. But this is H. Grattan Guinness, Key to the Apocalypse, the 7 Interpretations of Divine Prophecy. It's a really small book. I'll read this little thing on the back. It says about H. Grattan Guinness. He was born in 1835 and passed away in 1910. He was an Irish Protestant Christian preacher, evangelist, and author. He started Harley College, also known as the East London Missionary Training School. A traveling preacher, he drew thousands to hear him during the Ulster Revival of 1859. Reverend Guinness trained and sent hundreds of faith missionaries all over the world. They quoted out of Wikipedia. But yeah, this is a good book. I started reading it already, so this might be the one I'll be reading to you guys, maybe starting on the next video. Okay, now this is a really good book of him. I've seen a lot of others bring this book up as a reference and research to check. I would also encourage ones to check this book. It's The Approaching End of the Age, Viewed in the Light of History, Prophecy, and Science. And this is also by Henry Grattan Guinness through author Forgotten Books, And this is a thick book. See how thick it is? I haven't got into this one yet, but it seems to be full of a lot of information. And this one was actually written in 1880. So this brother wrote quite a few books over time in the late 1800s. Wow, that's a huge preface. I was just trying to... Yeah, I'm not going to go over all this. This is such a large book. But yeah, it has progressive revelation, progressive interpretation, foretold and fulfilled, which talks about Babylon the Great, the man of sin or the Antichrist. It has the inquiry into the divine system of times and seasons, natural and revealed. And that's where it's talking about, solar and lunar dominion, casual and chronological. But yeah, so he goes through, that must be some of the science part that he covers. But yeah, this is a great book too. The Approaching End of Age by Henry Grattan Guinness. All right, and the last book from Henry Grattan Guinness that I have is called History Unveiling Prophecy. History Unveiling Prophecy. And it's a medium-sized book. It's pretty thick. Oh yeah, it has a lot in the contents. So it has the interpretation of the apocalypse, and that goes over the pre-Constantine or the martyr church stage. It has a post-Constantine or imperial church stage, the medieval stage, the dawn of the Reformation stage, the Puritan or 17th century stage, the 18th century New Era stage, French Revolution stage, the present stage, and then a conclusion and some other things. But all of this is, all these stages are, part of history unveiling prophecy. So these are good books in the historicist sense because it links history and prophecy from the Bible together. And that's what a lot of the reformers did. That's why it's called the historicist eschatology view, not preterism or futurism. Okay, now another set of books. These are eschatology books too, pretty much based on the book of Revelation. I've shared these already, but I'll share them again because they're part of my new books. Obviously, I have a lot of reading to do, you can see. But, I've been kind of going through them here and there and just checking them out. But this here is called the Hore Apocalypte. Now, this was written by E.B.Elliot. This is a little more like mid-early 1800s. This is the Reformation Quincentennial edition. Now, this is a 3 or 4 book series. Now that's volume 2. I have volume 1, volume 2. Here's volume 1. Volume 2, volume 3, and then volume 4. So this is a lot of reading to do, and this is, yes, so the Hore Apocalypte by E.B.Elliot. I think, I'm not really sure the dates these were written, but I think it was like the mid-1800s. So about 20, maybe 20 to 30 years earlier than H. Grattan Guinness books. So yes, once again, these are books that one should check. The Hore Apocalypte by E.B.Elliot. Alright, excuse me, I had to put those, running out of space here, all these books. Okay, now this book is called The Historicist Theology of the Book of Revelation by Dr. Alberto R. Trier, or Trier. This is a thick book. It's a nice book. I like the cover. A little picture of the author there and some info about him. Now this is a more, not a classic like all the other books I've shared. This is written just last year, 2025. So this is a new book, and it's based, I think he was a Seventh Day, so it has a little bit of like Ellen G. White and stuff like that mixed in with because he's Seventh Day Adventist. So. But I haven't got to this one yet, but this is what I'm, Like I said, I have a lot of reading to do. Okay, now this next author, I have a few books of him. He was also popular in the 1880s, A.J.Wylie. Now, I think this book here is part of these books I'm about to share, but he's famous for writing the history of Protestantism. You know, you'll see the books here I'm about to show you, but I think this is one of the chapters out of it, but I also just got it as a separate book. It's the history of the Waldenses, the conflicts they waged, and the martyrdoms they endured in defense of their faith and liberty. J.A.Wylie wrote this. It's a small book because it's just a little part of the history of Protestantism. See, now this was written in originally, let's see, A.J.Wylie was born 1808 and lived to 1880. So I'm sure this is probably the late 1800s. I'm not seeing a date on it, but I could tell the printing's from the original. So it's old, it's got old pictures in it. Okay, now this is a 3-book set, The History of Protestantism. I have volume 1, 2, and 3 by James Aitken Wylie, or J.A.Wylie as he's commonly known. But James Aitken Wylie. Now these are pretty thick books. Oh yeah, see the thickness of them. So I have 3 of them here, 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, now these are very prominent for Christian history because it tells you the whole history of Protestantism. So these also I have to start reading. All right, now a couple other books from J.A.Wylie. This one is a little controversial because of just the title itself. So it came under a lot of scrutiny by ones and ones, but it's a good book, still has a lot of good points. By J.A.Wylie, The Papacy is the Antichrist. It's a very small book, but written by J.A.Wylie. Let's see if there's 1888. See? Now these brothers were thinking like this, these Protestants in 1888. You know? I didn't even know that. I thought, I didn't hear about Babylon and the Pope and Antichrist and all that till I was Rasta, and I was out of high school. I graduated high school in 1985. So, and I got into Rasta a little bit right out of high school, so about 86. That's when I first was hearing about, Papal Rome being the Antichrist from the Rastas. That's where I first heard it. Now I come around and do all this history learning and find out they've been saying that for... Okay, this next book by J.A.Wylie's, The Papacy, A History. Back of it real quick. It's a little kind of a thick book. Now the papacy, its history, dogmas, genius, and prospects. And it has a lot about just covering the papacy, And it was originally published in 1852. So I have the reprint from 2018, but it was originally, he wrote this in 1852 by J.A.Wylie, The Papacy. All right, one last book here I have. This was written, I think this is pretty new also, so it's not an old classic, but it probably will be in some years, because it's called Vatican Assassins, Wounded in the House of My Friends by Eric John Phelps. Now this is a big book. It's got a lot of information. I kind of went through it and I was like, wow, this has got a lot. Pertains a lot of Jesuit stuff in here. As you see on the front, he has their symbol. Talks about Kennedy and different stuff like that as pictures. Yeah, this is a really good book. I mean, look at it's got letters. It's got a lot of information, like research historical records in this one. So once again, Vatican Assassins, Wounded in the House of My Friends by Eric John Phelps. It's a good book still. I haven't read the whole thing, but from what I see so far, it's got some good historical information. Okay, we're getting to about almost 22 minutes. So yeah, those are pretty much all my new books. I have to read most of all of them still, so I'm, but I know some of the material because, they've been recommended by other podcasts, other historicists, and reformer theologians like myself. So I said, well, let me check these out. And plus, because they're classic, so they have a little bit of a standing in history. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do here is take a little time to go over, and I would hope ones and ones, please take a little time and check out my playlist under my channel. When you go to my channel, you can watch my actual videos, but underneath it shows the channel's playlists. And what I do is I list mostly by speaker. I title it as that, and then I put a bunch of their videos under that. So if you click on someone, like if you go on the playlist and you find Tudor Alexander, now he's a great researcher and his content is full. I mean, he does hours and hours of work, very extensive research work by this brother. His name's Tudor Alexander, and and you can go and check his own, because what I'm just trying to do is promote these guys. So when you go to my playlist, you'll see these guys, then go check them and hopefully join their channel and do all the things, because they have way better content than me. I'm like a little baby on here. These guys are veterans in a sense. They've been studying this for a while. Now, Tudor Alexander, the Dance of Life podcast. Check him out. He's got great content. Another person on the playlist is Walter Veith. A lot of people know about Walter Veith. He's got an extensive background. He used to be he's a scientist for a while, but then he was Catholic for a while, then he was atheist. He has a very extensive history, and he's been around a while and has a lot of teachings and lectures that he's been doing for like years. So go on there, check Walter Veith. He's a Seventh-day perspective that he comes from, but he also has so much knowledge on like the occultism stuff, the Freemasonry, the New World Order, but he also has all that eschatology too. So check Walter Veith, check Tudor Alexander. Another one for the apologetics, C.S. Lewis. I have a playlist of him and his it's called Basic Apologetics course. So you could check that out on my playlists. C.S. Lewis. And the other one is, now this is a really good channel playlist if you want to know about the occultism and all of the deception and stuff like that within Hollywood and entertainment. Check Little Light Studios on my playlist. Little Light Studios, they have a lot. I mean, they go into, some of the people on there used to be involved with Hollywood, so they come from a biblical perspective, but they get into a lot of like the behind the scenes of what Hollywood does, from cartoons to the music industry, all that. So Little Light Studios, check those videos out on my playlist. Another great one is Richard Bennett. He's an ex-Catholic priest. He was a Catholic priest for like 14 years. And then he ended up coming out of it because he saw that the deception was high in the Catholic Church, and he was a priest. So he was an actual, taking confessions, doing all that. So he was, and for 14 years, so he was in it for a long time. But then he realized over time, hey, this isn't right, and he came out but his videos are very excellent too. A lot of information. Historical information also. And another one is James Arabito. He's more of he did a lot of work in the earlier days, like in the 70s and stuff, and he's a Seventh Day, but he goes into a lot about the Sabbath, Seventh Day Sabbath stuff, and a lot of history in his videos also. Then my other playlist is just called documentaries. Any nice documentaries I find on the Bible or on Christ, or that seems to come with the reformers, historicist view, or just with basic facts, I'll put it on there. So check my documentaries playlist. Another couple, these last two I'm going to mention are really good about end times eschatology. One's called Matthew Shanashi. He's got really good videos, a lot of information, a lot of research he's done. And the other one is Heritage Hope Ministries. And they do the same thing. They share books, they cover history, and and I think they're both, or all of them, or both of these channels are Seventh Day Perspective, but still they come with a lot of information and biblical proofs. So so I'd like to just remind everyone, please again, like, subscribe, and share my channel, share my videos. You could share my playlist and all that too. Check out my playlist, please. I think you'll get a lot of information. These guys, like a lot of the information I share comes from a lot of these guys, but it just shows you there's a lot of us out here with this perspective. It's, it's not just the common Christian, remember, it's the narrow road, walking the narrow road, not the wide, broad road that everyone else is jumping onto. That's why we have to be a little discriminate and have discernment with what we believe and study, and make sure it's coming from the authority of Jah's Word, the Holy Bible, and not just some other man's thinking or through tradition or something. So, all right. So I think I pretty much covered. I shared all my new books. I shared my playlists. So, I once again encourage ones, please again, keep subscribing. I appreciate all the subscribers and the likes. And please leave comments, post questions or topics you'd like me to go over. And, I appreciate it. And let me just end with a prayer. My wife, I'd like to pray to Jah and ask Jesus Christ to bless her and heal her during her recovery. She's still in recovery from her brain surgery, but she's doing well. I visited her today. I'm gonna visit her tomorrow, so we'll spend some time tomorrow again, probably watching this video. So But give thanks and praise, and I just want to bless all the viewers out there and hope you receive a little inspiration to maybe check into some of these books, and please check into the playlists, and and I pray for my wife again. Just God help her, and her father. My grandmother. Just all my family and loved ones, and all the viewers' family and loved ones. And even pray for the enemy, all this Babylonian things going on with the media, the news, all this war and rumors of war. Some of it's prophecy being fulfilled, it's just things that have to happen in time, But all these deaths of children and people is not good, oh Jah. So I just pray for, the strengthening of all the people that are going through all these hardships through war and and all this deceit that goes on with it, all these Babylon devil child eating, sacrificing people, they're all part of the Babylon realm. So fire burn them, oh Jah. Make them, we pray for them that they'll come to the truth and know like what they're doing is wicked. If they want to serve Satan, then they're going to get what they get. So like I said, fire burn them. I'm not trying to be judgmental, but wickedness is wickedness. We can't make excuses. So good over evil every time. And like I said earlier, who Jah bless, no one can curse. So we give thanks and praise to thy holy name, Jesus Christ, Jah, Jehovah, and the Holy Spirit. So it be.